Okay, so this is Chapter 1, Day 2, Evaluation of Expressions. We're going to start here with the warm-up. Which expression results in a rational number? So, you remember a rational number. Okay, to be in Club Rational, you've got to have a decimal that doesn't repeat or terminate. Okay, and so basically this is a calculator question. Okay, so which one results in a rational number? So if we add L plus M, I'll do it over here. L plus M, L is square root of 2 plus 3 square root of 3. Okay, if I add that, I'm going to get a crazy decimal, so it's not going to be this one. Let's cross out number 1. Okay, M plus N, same thing, okay? Square root of 16 is just 4, square root of 9 is just 3, and all of these are all long decimals. So let's try it. M plus N, 3 radical 3 plus square root of 16, which is just 4. That's going to be irrational because of the radical 3. Okay, number 3, N plus P. Well, N plus P is just 4 plus 3, and 4 plus 3 is 7. That is rational. It does not, that is the terminating decimal. You can write it as 1. So that means my answer here is choice 3. Okay, so today's lesson is basically about evaluating expressions, which that means to just kind of plug it in and see what we get. So we have a couple of rules here. Rule number 1 is the number you substitute must always go in parentheses, and that is to not confuse. So that is not to confuse your calculator. For example, if I have x plus y, I see x here is 5. I'll write that down, and y here is negative 4. Okay, so basically that's going to be 5 plus negative 4. Now it's true that these parentheses are not really necessary if you have a positive, but they're usually necessary if you have a negative. So if I add that up in the calculator, that's clearly going to be 1. Okay, with negative signs like here, okay, it's important to copy it exactly, and it's important to take your z and your y and to just replace them with parentheses first so that we know how many negative signs there are. So for example, z is negative 2. If I put that in parentheses, I know that that negative sign is separate from this one. Same thing with the y. There's a negative in the middle, but then y itself is negative 4. So essentially I'm going to have negative 2 minus negative 4. Okay, on your calculator there's going to be 2 negative signs. I don't have a calculator to show you, but I can show you from here. So your negative sign, there's one with, that's a minus, and that's in blue. And there's one that's a negative sign that is in parentheses. That's only for things that go in front, kind of like this one. So to type this, you would type negative 2, that's this one, minus, that's this one, negative 4, back to here again. Okay, and if we do that, negative 2 plus 4 equals 2, although your calculator will give you 2 right off the bat. Okay, so a lot of these examples are basically the same. Okay, so if we try this one, negative z minus yx. Now when you see these two things together, note that yx means multiply. So I'm going to follow the parentheses rule, and I'm going to, let's get rid of that. Okay, I'm going to copy it directly. So first, on the first pass, I do like this. I basically got to copy the problem exactly how it is, except when I see letters, I'm going to put parentheses instead. Then on the second pass, I'm going to put the letters I'm going to substitute the numbers for the letters. So z itself is -2. Let's put that in there. Okay, and y is -4. So see, this negative in the middle has nothing to do with that. Okay, so that means there's two negatives here. Okay, and then x is 5, so I'm just going to put that in there. Put this into the calculator. Let's see, it should give you 2 plus 20. 22 is your final answer. Okay, so all of these are basically going to be the same. So if I have something with a squared, right, I'm going to put the parentheses squared. If I see -x squared, I'm going to put negative parentheses squared. So basically, anytime there's a letter, you're going to put the parentheses instead. That's sometimes called a frame. So see, I'm going to do that with the rest of these problems here. 4 plus parentheses to the third, negative parentheses to the third, minus 2 parentheses. Okay, so that's simple. All right, now you just take the numbers that it represents and then you plug it in there. Okay, so that would be -4 squared. That would look like this. This one, see now only the x is negative, so I'm just going to put that in there. Okay, I'm going to go through and substitute the rest of these right now. 2, z is -2. Okay, x is 5. That looks like this. 4 times y to the third, y is -4. See, it's just very easy if you do write the parentheses first and then substitute. Then you'll have an expression that you can put into the calculator exactly like it is. So don't drop the parentheses when you do that. Okay, I'm going to pause the video right now, and when we come back, I'm going to have all the answers there. So just go ahead, pause the video, and go ahead and try it yourself. Okay, we're back. So there's all the answers. Take a minute to check it. Pause the video if you need to. And when you're ready, let's go ahead and turn the page. Okay, here's a quick check for understanding. Again, pause the video and go ahead and do the quick check for understanding, and we'll be right back with the answer. Okay, if you did this correctly, your expression should look like this, and your final answer should be 20. Okay, so the second rule is remember to close the parentheses at the appropriate time. Okay, so this is kind of an inside-outside game. You'll see this with absolute value, and absolute value are these symbols right here. This is called absolute value. And what it does is anything inside here, it's just going to make it positive. Then you have the radical sign. Okay, this is the radical sign. And the thing is, on the calculator, okay, sometimes you have to close it at a certain time, and sometimes you have to continue it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to tell you is how to get these symbols on the graphing calculator. Okay, so I'm going to actually put these instructions over here. You can jot them down in the margins. So to get absolute value, the first thing you're going to do is press the math key. Okay, now on the math key, it's going to say, you know what, let me go to a blank page and I'll do it there. Okay, so to get absolute value, symbols which look like this. Okay, here's what you do. Step 1, as I said, you're going to press the math key. Okay, when you do that, okay, it's going to have a couple of words on top. Okay, so here's your display. It'll say math. Okay, it'll have NUM. It'll have a couple of the words here too. I forget what it is. The one you want is NUM. So if you want to get there, what you need to do is find the right arrow key. Okay, there's 4 directions. So you want to press the right arrow key. That will scroll over and produce an entirely new menu. Okay, number 1 on that menu is going to be ABS, and it's going to look like that. That's the one you're going to want. Press ABS. Okay, and then enter. And usually what's going to happen is that on your main screen, it's going to have the absolute value symbols and a little cursor. Okay, so after that, you just type what you want inside the absolute value, and that's how you get it. Okay, now, sometimes there's some stuff outside the absolute value. Okay, like out here. If you want to get outside the absolute value, you have to press the right arrow key to stop it. Okay, so otherwise the absolute value symbol will continue. So for example, let's say you wanted to press the absolute value of 3 times 5. If you don't do anything, it's just going to continue 3 times 5 and everything's going to be inside it. Okay, if you want to do the times 5 after, you have to push 3, then the right arrow key, that will stop the absolute value, and then times 5, everything else will be written outside. Okay, so you're going to press the right arrow key to go outside. Okay, so let's go back, and that's basically how it's going to work. Okay, so now that you have that, you're going to first do our rule. Substitute with parentheses, -3 inside the absolute value plus 3. So you're going to need to do the absolute value steps to get that. Okay, once you've typed this, just press enter, and it should return your answer. Okay, now the same goes for the radical sign. The radical sign, we discussed where it is. That is over the x² key. So you're going to have to do second plus x² in order to get to the radical sign. Okay, and again, remember what I said about starting and stopping. If you want to stop the absolute value, in other words, you want to draw something outside, you got to do the right arrow key. Okay, so for example, square root of c is the square root of 2. Okay, that's pretty simple. You type, it'll do its decimal thing. 1.141. No, that's the wrong one. 4142. I don't have my calculator with me. So there you go. 1.41, whatever the decimal is, it'll show it. Okay, but let's say you have an expression in here. Want to take a look at 5 and 6. Okay, so you do your square root symbol, and you want to enter the 2 minus -3, and you want that all to extend over. Don't press the right arrow key. But if you want this -1 on the outside, here's what you do. You do the square root symbol. You do with the 2. Okay? Close the parentheses and then right arrow key. You'll notice that the radical sign will stop, and then you can put your -1 there. Okay? And get your answer, whatever it is. Okay? I'm going to pause the video again one more time and see if you can get the correct answers. If not, call me over. Okay, here's the final answers to the problems. They're all in boxes here. So it says to round to the nearest hundredth. So that is 2 decimal places, so that's why they're all rounded. Again, if you're not getting these answers, do let me know. Okay, I want to make a special word about division, so I want to take a look at number 7. Oops, I forgot to switch off of there. Okay, so when you have division, it's important that if you have any kind of a sum or difference inside the denominator, that sum or difference go in parentheses. Okay, let me show you what I mean. Okay, let's take a simple example. Let's go to a plain page. So let's say I had 3 divided by 4 plus 2. Now, if you did that in your brain, right, you would naturally add 4 plus 2, and you would get 6, and 3 out of 6 is 1/2, so your calculator would return to you 0.5. That's what it should return to you. But if you enter it in 3 divided by 4 plus 2, like this, with no other adjustment, okay, your calculator is going to return to you 2.75. And why is that? We already know that's wrong. Well, the answer is that your calculator follows the order of operations, PEMDAS. And it sees, it's a computer, so it doesn't know, it sees the division before the addition. So it's going to do 3 divided by 4, which is 0.75, 3/4, right? Plus 2 wholes, 2.75. Okay? Now, how do you make it do the addition first, like our brain would do it? Easy. You bump it to the front of the list. P stands for parentheses, doesn't it? And so, if you want to bring it to the front of the list, you simply put parentheses. Okay? So now if you try 3 divided by parentheses 4 plus 2, it should give you the correct answer of 0.5. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're doing the problems. So when you do 3 divided by, what was C? I completely forgot. 2. Okay, it's 3 divided by 2 plus 5. You'll write this, but on the calculator, make sure you're writing 3 divided by parentheses 2 plus 5. So it'll give you 3/7, which is something like 0.42. Okay, it might be actually 0.43 now that I'm thinking about it if you round it. Okay, and same thing with this. Again, I'm going to pause the video because I don't want to talk too much, and I will put the answers for 8 and 9. Okay, so here are the final answers for that section. Okay, now the rest are just Regents questions. They're all kind of the same thing. This is going to be independent practice, and the homework was given out to you, so you're just going to use the same process for that. You can do the homework using any regular calculator. It does not have to be a graphing calculator. Just if you follow the rules that I gave you, so using the parentheses, following the rules about starting and stopping radical signs, and with the division sign, everything should be fine. You will get the answers one way or the other, either today or tomorrow. And good luck. If you need help, just make sure you contact me.